Let me quickly take the overview of the whole process. When you will develop any program in C or C++, you would have an editor, like that blue editor in the earlier C and C++ compilers. That editor will help you to just develop your programs. Okay, and what you will do after you develop the program, you will just compile it. What compilation actually do? The compilation will convert that programming language into the machine language and will keep it into an executable form. Okay, so that once you compile the program, your executable file is ready, so you can execute it and the machine can understand your language, because the machine operates on bits and bytes convention, so it won't be able to understand your language directly. That's why the programming languages are in role. Okay, so the approach is pretty simple, but how Microsoft has designed the framework. Let me first tell you about the concept. There are a lot of programming languages, and every programmer is comfortable with some type of languages. Like you are comfortable with C or C++. Someone may be comfortable with VB based programming language, VB6. Some may be comfortable with Python, some with C#, etc. Okay, so what framework does? The framework defines the whole system as a bunch of languages. So Microsoft says that you can program in any of your language. That means if you are willing, you can program in C#, otherwise you can go for VB.NET, otherwise you could go for C#, you can go for VC++, J#. Okay, so there are multiple options. Microsoft is supporting around 30 languages on the framework, and you can develop any program in any of the language. And even though in the same software application you can have two different types of pages with different languages, that is wonderful. You are having a web page in ASP.NET, one can be in VB.NET and other in the C#.NET, and both, it doesn't matter to the compiler. So this is the art of the framework. And the first and the most important thing is how it is possible. You should ask a question. Creativity should ask this question, that how it is possible to develop program in any language and it does not affect overall output. Okay, so let me explain you the design first. Microsoft designed some special type of compilers. Each language is having its own compiler as earlier, like C# is having a compiler, VB.NET is having a compiler, J# is having a compiler. All the languages are having their own compiler, but these compilers are not the conventional compilers. These compilers are very different from the earlier one. How? Earlier, the compilers are just targeted to execute the program and run it into the machine. The output is byte code, as someone said. Okay, it is true. The output is always machine code, that is byte. That means machine understandable output. But here the compilers are different, because the output is not the byte code. The output is assembly. It is assembly. Okay, so remember it. Every compiler will output an assembly, and now this assembly is again different from the earlier code. This assembly is not executable. Okay, this assembly is not executable. It is targeted to run over the framework. So the picture is a bit different when you will see from the compiler point of view. When the compiler of the framework will execute your code, the output is not executable, it's assembly. And this type of code is called managed code. It is called managed code. It's an important question to be asked in interviews as well, when you will go for some campus interview or anywhere else. Managed code. Basically, managed code is a code that is targeted to run over the framework. Clear? It's very simple. because other compilers will just not output the code which you can run over the framework. Can you run C++ over the framework with the normal compiler? No, you can't. Okay, clear? So to run any code over the compiler, over the framework, you need special code for that. That is executed by the compiler. So don't get much confused about that.
We have that marker.
So when you will just execute the code over the framework, now the framework comes into the role. I would have to show it in a picture so that you can understand it well. But framework, what is .NET framework? Framework and compilers are very different. Okay, framework is a virtual machine and a managed code will come to the framework. Okay, only managed code will come to the framework and then framework will do the needful. So understand the things. If there are 5 languages, 5 compilers are there, and every compiler will output managed code, and that managed code will go to the framework machine. Okay, clear? And now managed code will contain all the information that is necessary for the code to run over the framework. Now in managed code there is very interesting fact, that is CLR, Common Language Runtime. It's a major part of the framework. Common Language Runtime is, you can say, the heart of the framework. Okay, .NET framework, because the role, try to understand the role. Suppose a code file with C#, okay, a code file with J#, a code file with VC++, a code file with VB.NET, all comes to the CLR in a single program. Now what CLR will do, CLR will just convert that code to MSIL, that is Microsoft Intermediate Language. So whether it is written in VB.NET, C#, J# or any other framework languages, it will be directly converted to the MSIL, that is Microsoft Intermediate Language. Clear? And on the other hand, how it is, now it's a question that how it is possible to convert a language into other, because try to find out the difference between C and C++. You will find a lot of difference, right? Printf, right? And there you will find cout. Scanf, cin. Okay? Then how it is possible to convert? But in framework it is possible, because whether you are using any of the languages, the framework is same.